Tell us about the exercising. What happens if you don't do it? What are some of the benefits to it?
Less energy
Hmm.
and also just feeling like I missed something,
Yeah.
right? Like there's something missing from the day.
Let's learn how our next guest get up, dress up, and show up on purpose. Enjoy the episode. Hello, morning enthusiasts. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. I am your host, Lunid Lewis, and today I have the honor of introducing a very special guest to the show, Elizabeth Pampalone. She is an international speaker, successful entrepreneur, and expert marketer with over 20 years of experience. Phenomenal. Her innovative approach helps overwhelmed business owners and who are burnt out and nonprofit directors to achieve success and freedom through the power of absolute marketing. And she has her own podcast, and we're going to hear all about it today. But no further ado, Elizabeth, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It is my pleasure. It's such a delight. Now, go right ahead. Tell us about your journey, a little bit about yourself.
So I started my business about 13 years ago and I had gone through a divorce. I was kind of just unemployable. I had all these skills, but I was not qualified enough for this job, too qualified for that job. And so it was the beginning of the recession and I was just like, you know what? I just am going to start my own thing. And my mom said, why don't you just pick two things you like and make yourself a job? So that's what I did.
Yeah, it's interesting because people who are unemployable is you have too much talent and too much creativity, right? You don't fit in a box. It's hard to like come find you. And so your two things, and one of them is I know for sure is marketing. Yeah.
Yes. When I first started my business, I actually started a computer repair business. And I picked two things I liked, which was the older generation, the seniors, and computers. And I started teaching computer classes. And then I started going into people's homes and fixing their computers.
You like
And from there,
seniors? You like
yes.
seniors?
And from there, I actually realized that I was building a business, which it didn't seem to me like a business in the beginning. It just seemed like something I could do to make some money,
Yeah.
live. And then when I realized it was a business, I also realized there were other business owners out there that, might be nice to connect with. And then I realized that I was actually marketing myself really, really well. And I had a background in marketing from my college education and things I'd done previously, but I kind of put that on the back burner because I didn't see how I could create anything with that because I didn't really know that there were other business owners out there. I was looking at jobs that were related to marketing or web design. And that's where I wasn't fitting. So when I made my own thing and I did it for myself, I just kind of just assumed that, well, everybody just does it for themselves. But really, I realized no, they don't. And I was able to build a second company, which is the Absolute Marketing Agency.
Nice. And so out of that, the podcast was born, right? The 2 minute
Yes.
solution that you give, like super useful nuggets on how to market your business. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I started that in early 2020 before everything happened. And it was definitely a return to podcasting for me because I had done podcasts previously. I had done interview type podcasts. I had done heavily edited podcasts. I had even done some NPR type podcasts with some people from a local radio station. And I had done broadcasting in the past, but when I actually would get into it in all those different formats, it would be so arduous. It was
Hmm.
just so long and drawn
Yeah.
out and so much editing. And it was just like, how am I going to fit this into my schedule? And the thing is, I never did. It always like led to the back burner and it just never got done. And then it just kind of went away.
Hmm.
Well, the beginning of 2020, I said, how can I take what I'm doing, like what I love to do, and make it a podcast, but also make it fit my lifestyle? And that's what I do with everything, really. And that's kind of how my marketing method was born. Was how do I take the things I'm already good at and make them into something that's awesome and that I can know that I can sustain and do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, well, I can talk for 2 minutes. I can come up with a billion topics. I mean, I still have a list mile long that I'm still going through. And can I batch this? Can I do this at one time period, sit down for an hour and just do a bunch and then be done for a while and then come back and sit down for an hour and do a bunch. And I streamlined my editing process. I found tools that were helpful. They were not cheap, but helpful. And I just made it something that I could fit into my life once a quarter for like 2 hours. And it would take me 2 hours to do an entire quarter's worth of episodes.
Wow.
And I just realized I can fit this into my life and I'll schedule it, right? So once a quarter, not a big deal, put it on my calendar. And it's almost a year later now. And it's been going since then. And I also realized that the first season, we didn't really do any guests. I just did everything
Mm-hmm.
myself. And then I realized there are people that I've met that are really awesome and that I would love to have on the show. So I said, if you can record a 2-minute episode, here's the format, here's how I do it, then go for it. And people have been sending me, 2-minute episodes, and we have a lot of guests this season. So
I saw that. So this previous season, I went on there and checked it out because, like I said, I was really blown away. I was like, "This is not possible. She can't do this." And you actually had guests on there that were giving nuggets within the 2 minutes. I think one of them you did spoke. You gave your intro and then you gave it away to the guest, and they nailed it within like 2 minutes and 3 seconds.
yeah.
That's fantastic. What are some of the tools that you're using to streamline the process? Because I do have a lot of young entrepreneurs who are looking to get a podcast going because that's a great way to market their business. That's a great way to grow their audience. So if they're starting that piece of it, what are some ways to streamline it?
Well, I have a lot of tools that I use, and I actually have something on my website called the Pro Toolkit. And you can go ahead and download it. It's at getabsolutemarketing.com. But it has all the tools that I use, and I don't hold any of them back. I mean, they're all listed there, what I use them for and everything. But I think if you're going to start a podcast, you do need a few types of tools. And I don't really necessarily think it has to be a specific one. I like certain ones because I've used them and I know that they work. But there's certain types of tools you need. So I definitely know that you need to have a podcast host. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first one. And I do have one of those listed. You also need a podcast editor. Sometimes you can use one that's in your computer. Sometimes if you're good at that kind of thing, I use one that's online so that it's like super streamlined. I just drop in my stuff and it kind of does everything for me.
Really?
And that
What's
one's
that one
listed in my
called?
toolkit as well.
What's
It's
that one
listed in the
called?
toolkit.
We're gonna have the link to the toolkit at the
Yes.
show notes so people can go into. But that's already like an eye opener for me. It does the editing for you. Perfect.
Yes, it does a lot of the editing for you. And so I use the host, and then I use the editor, and then those two communicate to each other. So there's a lot of just click one button and everything kind of is moved along for you. You don't have to do a lot of extra work.
Mm-hmm.
So that streamlines that process a lot. And then for recording, the tools that I actually use, I just have a simple microphone. I don't have anything else fancy. I use my earbuds, for that. So when I do the actual recordings, and sometimes, honestly, most of my recordings, and you probably wouldn't even notice this because the editing is so good, but I actually record them on my phone.
Come on.
I record them into the voice memos on my phone.
Wow.
And they come out sounding pretty good. And I just hold it up like you would a microphone, right? Like you hold your phone like you would a microphone. And if you talk into it that way and you do the voice memo recording, that's it. That's all. And then I just record 2 minutes or sometimes 3, but that's about it. And then as far as other tools, I use email marketing heavily, and I also use a social media scheduler heavily. And I
Mm-hmm.
use that with my RSS feed that comes from my podcast. So it automatically sends the emails for me, and it automatically sends the social posts. So I really don't have to do anything after that. Once you set it up, it's done and you don't have to worry about it anymore.
I love that. Podcasting simplified. You don't need much to actually get it going. You really have mastered a way to simplify it, for lack of a better word. So that's pretty fantastic to hear. Now, tell us about some, because you work with nonprofit organizations and you work with business owners, some
Mm-hmm.
marketing tips that you can share with us. How can we automate our marketing?
So I do the same thing I've done for podcasting. I do that for other marketing aspects. I created something called Absolute Marketing Method in 2017,
Mhm.
and it basically covers the 5 pillars of marketing. That would include the branding. So you got to have a brand to start with. Can't start with anything. You got to have that first logo. And this basically the essence of the brand. It's not just a pretty logo, right? It's why are you using these colors? What are these colors saying to your audience? The fonts, the way the logo is laid out. If you have any other marks or sub marks that you do that go with it, business card, collateral, opt-ins. That's all branding.
The
And
archetype,
it's
leading
yeah,
to the
it's really the
archetype.
essence. Yeah, your target market, all of that stuff. All of that stuff is like the essence of the brand. So when somebody sees just the logo, for example, or the color or whatever, they have a feeling and they associate it with you. And so that's really like building all that into the brand. I know people throw the word branding around a lot, but the brand is so, so important. And we spend an entire day on that.
Yeah.
I spend an 8-hour day on that. And we put all those pieces in. We get all that stuff done in that day. And then I focus on the second piece of the pillars. The second pillar is the website.
Mm-hmm.
People think they don't need a website nowadays, just use social media or have a landing page or whatever. But really, if you think about it, all the ads that you go to, see on Facebook or anywhere you see an ad, when you click on it, it takes you somewhere.
Yeah.
It takes you to a website.
Yeah.
And so if you go to a website that isn't really well thought out or isn't planned well, doesn't have a lot of information, maybe is a little sketchy feeling, you're going to just leave and do something else, right? You're going to completely just like forget it, moving on. But if your website is laid out well, when someone pays for an ad and then they send it to the website, that's a huge piece. That's where the sale actually happens, whether they're booking a call with you, downloading something free, buying something, setting up a session, whatever. So it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, whether it's product or service, the website is super important. So that's why brand is first. Got to get that down first so we know who we're talking
Yeah.
to, what we're doing. Then we have the website, which has all the information. It's all our storehouse of everything that we do.
To help
And
with
then
conversion.
yeah, because otherwise how are you going to convert? You put something on social media and then what? Then what do? Right? They go to a website. And then we focus on social media as the third day
Mhm.
and the third pillar. And I actually do these 5-day sessions like in a row, like one every day, just boom, get it done.
8 hours.
8 hours each day, right? And then the third pillar, the third day is social media. And I help people to create 12 months of social media in one day.
Mhm.
So it's 365 posts designed, written, and scheduled into a scheduler. So you're literally done for the whole year.
That's awesome. In just one day, you've scheduled your year of content and out of the way. What are the
Mm-hmm.
length? Are you tailoring to that 2 minute? Is it postings? Is it video? What are your breakdown?
This is mostly just straight posts because I believe that when we're creatives, we have this drive to like, I feel like doing this today. And we'll be motivated to do it. We'll be motivated to post a video because we feel like doing it, right? But then what happens is when we don't feel like doing it, we have nothing. There's nothing going out, there's nothing happening. And so if we have those feelings on a semi-regular basis, but it's not every day,
Mhm.
then we need to have that underlying piece that's continuously running for us, right?
Mhm.
It's moving along for us. And we don't have to worry about it today I don't feel like doing a video. Today I don't feel like posting anything. That's fine because when I do feel like it, I can just post it. And the more the merrier. And then you'll have varied content. But if you are able to put in a lot of content ahead of time that's less varied,
Mhm.
it will really help to keep your consistency, as far as your social media is concerned.
It's very freeing to have something in the pipeline, to have a system, to have a funnel, right? Because you're right, you're not going to wake up 100% every day. And I think that's the misconception about entrepreneurship. Like you got to wake up and give 110% every day. That's not true. You're human. You're going to
That's
fall
right.
on the wayside. You're going to be like, you know what? I have a massive headache today and I don't want to deal with it. But guess what? The world doesn't need to know exactly how you feel. Your business is still running in the back end. And that's the beauty
Yeah.
of the automation process. And so, please go ahead and tell us what's the fourth pillar.
It's actually blogging, and we
Mhm.
do the same thing. Create 12 to 24 blog posts in a day and get them in your system. Schedule them out.
Why is blogging so important? Because it falls into social media, right? Why do both and not either or?
Well, social media is to keep you consistent on platforms. Blogging is to actually increase your SEO on your website. So people will find you through organic search.
Okay. And I imagine you get into SEO optimization with the blogging and keywords.
So Google changes their algorithms so much. And so what I've actually done is created kind of, so also with social media, I created like algorithm proof social media. So what we do is kind of outside of the algorithm. We're not really playing to it. We're not worrying about it. And so the same thing with blogging is the SEO algorithms are changed so much, and Google can dock you points for this and add points for that. And it's just kind of crazy. So what we decided was that there are certain foundations of SEO that are consistent kind of throughout the whole, time that it's been around. And that is to have good content that's actually readable, to have content that has keywords in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that has words in it that are going to be what your people are searching for. And then also to be a resource, like to answer questions. So if we follow those three things, then it doesn't really matter what Google is doing. It doesn't really matter what other SEO we can do. There's like best practices that just go into the website in general, that go into the blog in general. But those three things are kind of the main core. And so if people are able to follow that when they're writing a blog, then you don't really have a lot of issue with, it being SEO friendly or not, because people mostly use Google as a question engine, not as
Right.
a search engine. So as long as we're following that question rule kind of first and foremost, and we're making sure it's readable and it has keywords, then we're good.
I like your twist on it, right? It's not trying to keep up with the algorithm, because a lot of people says, it changes so much. We try to
Right.
finesse it to make it work, but you're saying these are the three things that you ought to do anyway, regardless. Like the content is up to par, your keywords are good, searchable keywords, but also you're answering a question by adding value, right? You're giving free content away, and that's different compared to what people are saying. Some people just like don't even bother because it's so convoluted, so confusing for them, especially when it comes, with the SEO piece of it. For for the
Yeah.
searchable keywords, do you just use Google to find out what questions people are asking? Because I know there are different tools out there to actually get the questions that people are searching for, that they need answers for, so you can build content around that.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there.
And
I
they're not
actually
free.
have no.
They're not free. That's what's surprising. Is like I just need a question.
Well, there's a couple that are free, and I actually did I'm doing a session on that in my membership. So I have a membership that I started this year or last year in 2020. And it is where I have everybody come together, and it's more like group sessions. So I do a lot of one-on-one sessions with people, but I wanted to have a place where I could just like gather everything that I know and just like dump it all in there, so
Yeah.
that all these things that come up that people ask about when I do create something, it's like 10 other people could probably use this.
Hmm.
So I just put everything in one spot. I have a couple of resources in there about that. And also, we're going to be doing a session on blogging. So we're going to go through that. But there's a couple of free ones. I don't have them off the tip of my tongue, unfortunately, but I do have like links and stuff. So, but they are in the membership for sure. Cause I just things like that I find, it's like I need to put them all, like I said, in some repository somewhere. So that's what I
Yeah.
did.
No, and so I'm glad you're confirming that, because they do exist. You kind of need to use a system, a software of that sort to help with your content creation, because you want content that people are looking for, that they
Right.
want answers for. It's not just, oh, I'm passionate about this. Let me write content on it. Well, if nobody's reading it, it doesn't matter,
And
right?
it also is to confirm too. Like if you're thinking, is this a good question? Or I know a client asked me this question, but like, do other people have this question? And you can search that and actually, yeah, confirmation, yes. Oh, and here's a sub variant of that. I can now make a different, post or whatever. So
Yeah, I look for some of them and put on the show notes, but they actually give you stats, right? In terms of how long
some
it
of
was
them do, yeah.
search for, and the people who are looking for it. So it's pretty interesting the way they break it down, just so in terms of relevant,
Yes.
and so because that varies. So yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you can see that some of them also put in how many times they were searched in a month or a year, or things like that. So it's really really interesting. But yeah, there are so many of them out there, but like you said, some of them aren't free, and so it's just kind of about, kind of hunting through and finding the right ones. But But I do like to use those tools, but I also like to just go off of, if someone doesn't have, the ability to get to a tool like that, go off of what people already are asking you in your business, go off of the questions you've gotten in your, your from your clients. And also, if you have an FAQ section, typically that's an entire blog section. Just go to your FAQs and like write a long answer, to each one of those and make it, a blog post. So that's also a great place to start.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. And we're pillar number 5, the last one.
5, yes, email marketing. So I like to create like 12 months of email marketing campaigns. And most of the time, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, we forget to sell. And, I think it's been drilled into everyone's head so much to don't sell, don't sell, don't sell, because it's too salesy and no one wants to be like that. And so there are always the people that are going to be the salesy ones. But then there is everybody else who's so afraid to sell that they're like cat videos and other people's articles. And, they're kind of like pushing away the sale almost. And when they're doing social media or doing emails. And so I think now it's kind of time to remind people like, hey, we do this. Don't forget, that's how we make money. That's how we live. And so I like to create sales posts or sales emails that go out on a regular basis, quarterly or monthly, depending on what you do, and just really detail like a specific product or service to give people an idea. Because sometimes I won't go on a website for months. But if I get an email from them and they're like, hey, we're doing this next month, or hey, don't forget we have this service, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I totally forgot about that. And then I might even send it to somebody. So-and-so was just asking me about this the other day. I need to send it to them. So I'd like to use the email marketing for some sales, but also to remind people of your blogs, your podcasts, kind of have that automated. And then also, if there's any events or speaking engagements or summits you're doing, you can always send an email about that as well.
And you suggest that a couple of times a year, so quarterly?
I actually send about, personally, from my email marketing system, I send about 22 to 25 emails a month to my
Really?
list. Mm-hmm.
They're not
And
all sales.
No, some of them are some of them are my blog, some of them are my podcast, some of them are like I'm on a summit or I'm going to be speaking at this place, go and register type of thing. And then the other ones are sales post.
Nice. And your call to action is very direct. It's your if you're selling say the membership, right? You simply say these are the benefits. Go you don't want to miss out joining.
Right. And I do a 14-day or 14-day trial. I think it's a 7-day trial. And so, you get to try everything. And so I try to give a little bit like, hey, go try this out, check it out, see what we're about. And if you're good to stay, you're good to stay. If not, you can, but it's like that, like you said, it's like that direct, here are the benefits, 14-day trial, click here, like just simple. Some people though don't want to commit immediately, right? So they're like interested, but they don't want to commit. So I have this little email trick that I use. I actually put 2 buttons. And I'll put one that says learn more on the left, on the side.
Yeah.
And then I'll put one that says join now, or like buy now, or register now, like that action one on the right-hand side.
Okay.
And I'll make the learn more one a light color, and I'll make the register now, the action one, a brighter color, whatever my colors are. So typically for me, the learn more is like a gray, and then the register now or the buy now, that's like my green color that I use. So when I put those 2 buttons in, I actually have them go to the exact same link.
Interesting.
Because typically on the link that you send people to register, there's more explanation, right? There's more, maybe another description, maybe some more info, maybe size, dimensions, I don't know, whatever, right? So typically when you send someone to a buying page or to a shopping page or even a registration page, there's usually extra content there. So when I send them to the same place, it makes the people who are not ready to commit feel comfortable that they can learn more without actually buying something. Because people still think that when they click register now that they've registered, you've taken their money, it's already done, it's a done deal.
Yeah.
Even though that doesn't happen, it's still like in your mind that happens. So if they learn more, they go to the registration page. If they register now, they go to the registration page. But it makes everybody feel comfortable to do what they want to do, but I'm still getting the same result that I want to get.
Right. No, I love that. And I can talk to you forever, but we're running out of time because you got so many nuggets, and my listeners are going to find it super valuable. But I am curious, as this is the best morning routine ever, like you are rocking it. How do you get up, dress up, and show up? Tell us about your morning routine.
Well, I actually go to a community center in the morning, and I usually get up between 5 and 6, and I head on over there. I do a yoga class for an hour, and then I come back, get some breakfast, and sit down and start working. And then I usually break for lunch about 1. And then yeah, so I'm usually like, get the exercise in, get that stuff out of the
Yeah.
way, and then get ready into the, my morning and get into my emails and things like that. I do my emails first, get as many of those out of the way as I can, and then I move right into whatever the first project of the day is.
Yeah. Tell us about the exercising. What happens if you don't do it? What are some of the benefits to it?
Less energy,
Mm-hmm.
and also just feeling like I missed something.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's something missing from the day. And then if I do miss something, or if I have an early morning appointment or something like that, I have a bike, and I will go and take a bike ride during my lunchtime hour, and just do something like something movement, something that's like outside, because the yoga that I do is outside usually. So, I like to be outside as much as I can, especially being in with computers and stuff and marketing. It's all on the computer. It's all inside. So I try to do like something outside at least once a day.
Yeah, movement is so important. I'm an early riser and I work out in the morning as well. But not only is it more energy throughout the day, but better focus, I find it. Like if I
Yeah,
have meetings after meetings and things that my brain is jumping from one thing to the other and just trying to focus, it's a lot easier to do when I have worked out in the morning.
absolutely. I totally agree.
It's super powerful in that way. So yeah, successful in working out and doing your yoga in the morning actually helps prime you for the day. So that's awesome. How can we connect with you, Elizabeth?
My website is getabsolutemarketing.com, and have the pro toolkit there, links to the membership, and also all the other stuff that we do. It's all there.
Awesome. So this is going to be in the show note. Morning enthusiast, you've heard it here first. This has been Elizabeth, and she is the host of Absolute Marketing, the creator, and she has 5 pillars that she wants to share with you. And you'll find the link below. And it's, number one is branding. Gotta have that logo, that message that like screams you. Anyone that sees it can resonate with you. That is so powerful. And of course, your website gotta have somewhere to take people if you're doing any marketing. You have social media and blogging. I thought blogging was very interesting. We kind of pick a lot of nuggets out of that. And of course, email marketing and having to make that sale and be intentional about that sales. We sometimes as business owners don't do that quite often. So I thank you so much for adding so much value today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please comment and tell us what was your favorite part, your favorite habit that you are going to try out for yourself today. Comment below. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Until next time, I will see you at the top of your best morning routine ever. Stay blessed.